The latest Star Trek Strange New Worlds episode throws us back into the lives of the USS Enterprise crew members. One important detail about Captain Christopher Pike's future is clear from the get-go. I've got some great thoughts on this episode, and overall, it might be my favourite of the second season so far. Yes, I mean that. Ad Astra, aka the courtroom drama episode, was good, but this episode, titled Lost in Translation, really sold it for me. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack, and let's talk about Strange New Worlds. If you want more Star Trek news, lore and more, then hit that subscribe button there. Make it so. Spoiler warning as usual, this is our full review of Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 6. As such, turn away now, you've been warned, okay, hit it. I hit the mic.
I hear congratulations are in order, Fleet Captain.
Stop it. Fleet Captain. I've been given command of the refinery and the Farragut just until we get the station online.
The promotion of Captain Pike is a big deal. This solves the problem of Kirk meeting Pike. Initially, we all knew the comment of Kirk meeting Captain Christopher Pike when Pike received his promotion to Fleet Captain. Here, we finally see this scene. Many thought it would happen when Pike was promoted to Fleet Captain and left the Enterprise to hand over to the newly promoted Captain James T. Kirk. Here, this episode handles it well, but further fleshes out the canon of the Star Trek universe. This is where Strange New Worlds is exceeding at the moment. It's taking one piece of a story from over 50 years ago and expanding on to make more stories and make them more cohesive. I know some are a bit iffy about the timeline changes in Star Trek, but it's more about explaining things clearly and making more sense of them. Especially when we consider the Temple Wars did mess things around a little bit and make the timeline look like crazy paving. Yes, that is an analogy I'm going to continue to use. I thought the scene of Pike hunting the rogue Starfleet officer was relatively good, especially as it again using fantastic Enterprise set designs for the corridors and hallways. But on the flip side, we've also got some great shots of Pike and La'an working together on board the Enterprise. Pike did well in this episode, and I'm so glad it had the issue of solving Kirk meeting him, as the headache is now contained for the moment. I do wonder how long he'll keep the Fleet Captain rank, as it was mentioned as a temporary promotion, so maybe it gets taken away and he's just our regular Captain Pike. Something to keep in mind.
Lieutenant Kirk.
That's right. It's an honor to meet you, sir.
Congratulations on your promotion to Fleet Captain.
It's temporary.
From hallucinations of dead chief engineers to meeting Captain James T. Kirk for the first time. Well, Lieutenant Kirk, but you get the point. This episode is very much an Uhura-focused episode. We're introduced to her dealing with the trauma of Hemmer's death and the pressure of being on a high-working ship like the Enterprise. Uhura handled this well, and I think Celia Rose Gooding performed so well in this episode as Uhura and solved the emotions and trauma she was experiencing. Uhura meeting James Kirk is a big moment for the Star Trek universe. These characters have a legendary history of serving together and a close relationship in the Star Trek franchise. How the establishment of that relationship was handled in this episode worked well. While I'm not super keen on Kirk appearing in the series, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it right, am I right? The meeting of the two characters is further amplified by Spock meeting Kirk. At this point, 3 of the original series characters are now assembled and together, very much setting the stage for the future of Star Trek, and I like it. Once again, we're back with James T. Kirk. Paul Wesley would always reoccur in the second season of Strange New Worlds, we knew that from the get-go. While I said this before, it still feels like Strange New Worlds is using Kirk a little too much. Sure, he was around in this era of the Star Trek universe. For example, it's made clear that he has risen to the first officer of the USS Farragut. We've actually done a deep dive video on the Farragut, go watch that one, but we're doing a new one soon. Now the Farragut is currently working alongside the Enterprise. However, this is the Captain Pike series. Sometimes it does feel like a little bit too much Kirk and it sort of overshadows Pike in a sense. I mean, for example, this season has already had a whole Kirk focused episode with La'an. Sure, that was an alternate timeline, but the point does remain. This episode saw more of Paul Wesley assuming the role of Kirk. His first introduction with Uhura is pivotal for the entire Star Trek franchise. The two work so well together in this episode. Even Kirk saves her life before the rogue officer destroys the nacelle section of the Enterprise. Pretty important. Now, the Kirk charm is also on full display in this episode. Admittedly, the previous episode of La'an did feel a bit forced regarding the love aspect between both characters. However, with Uhura, I feel like Kirk's natural charm works better and more naturally with the characters. I still feel like something will happen between Kirk and La'an later down the road, especially it seems like the Farragut is under the command of Captain Pike for the time being. Can we also comment on the rivalry between Sam Kirk and James Kirk? It's pure brotherly rivalry, and the comment about Kirk being on a tiny ship while Sam is on board the flagship is fantastic and a slight bit of comedy that just works well in Strange New Worlds. I loved it.
Well, I'm glad to see that everything worked out for the best. And I think I'm gonna write a paper about our deuterium friends.
Oh, wow. Sounds thrilling.
Okay. You know what? Forget it. Go have fun on your stupid little ship. I'm gonna be here on the flagship.
This episode of Strange New Worlds works well. It ups the stakes of the current era of the Star Trek universe's overall story while keeping the character-focused story contained. I've got to say, the VFX team spared nothing on this episode. Several scenes, such as the explosion on the Enterprise refinery, which took out part of a nacelle, were epic not only for the explosion of the actual nacelle, but the shot of the officer fading into space. Eerily creepy. Also, the costume department and makeup department for Hemmer's dead look, that was eerie. Commander Pelly and Commander Una are two interesting characters in this episode. When we look at it a bit closer, they are two very different characters who are the opposite people. Pelly reads Una like a book, to be honest. The ranks between both characters are firmly established, which is good as there was confusion between the ranks of Una in the first season. The rank cups have been a point of confusion in this series beforehand, yeah. In terms of this episode, using all the Strange New Worlds cast makes them valuable. To that point, the only two who did not really be that much helpful and probably could have been used more were Erica Ortigas and Mr. Spock. Spock could have been on the bridge with Captain Pike when certain situations were going up the wall, and we could have had more Ortigas around the ship. But with that being said, it's tough to use all the characters together simultaneously, especially with such a full cast. While writing this review, this might be my favourite episode of the second season so far. Lost in Translation used the core cast of Strange New Worlds, including secondary characters like Sam Kirk and guest stars of James Kirk. I'm also going to say that the episode ending got me. Having Kirk, Uhura and then Mr. Spock sit together as the camera pans out was fantastic. It's a great writing and direction move from the team behind the episode. This essentially is the future of Star Trek at this point, but also the past for us. We're setting the stage here, and it's working well. Maybe my theory about an original series reboot is going to happen one day, just saying, it could do. Now I'm very excited about the next few episodes of Strange New Worlds. Next week we have a much anticipated crossover episode of the series with Star Trek Lower Decks. Are you looking forward to that one? If you're attending San Diego Comic Con this weekend right now, you might be able to get an exclusive preview of that as we're showing the episode early. No spoilers if you get to see it early, but you're welcome to tweet me and tell me your initial thoughts on it, because we don't get screeners here at Trek Central, so we're as much in the blind as you guys are, which makes it better, doesn't it? Because we're enjoying the episode with you. Okay, by the way, I just got a Star Trek uniform delivered. Should I do next week's review in the uniform? Let me know. Alright, let us know what you think of this episode in the comments below. Go and make it so. Remember, if you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then hit that subscribe button, which will be down there, to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.